Good morning. I recently posted a video explaining why I travel so often, and although I did touch upon how I do it, I wanted to spend a few minutes really going over it in detail. There are a few methods to my madness, and although I'm going to go over them all in a second, if you take nothing else from this video, I just hope that you remember that the key is always to just book it. You have a 24-hour window in which you can cancel with no penalty, and deals really don't last. I've had friends call me back within an hour after confirming that they could take PTO, and the prices were already gone. So, how do I find these deals in the first place? My spontaneous, no hesitation bookings can actually either be spur of the moment or well calculated and really well researched. For spur of the moment flight deals, I regularly check two websites, thriftytraveler.com and theflightdeal.com. I also subscribe to their email alerts. The great thing about both sites is that they alert you of regular sales and also mistake fares, which are prices that are inaccurate and posted by the airline in error. You should be especially mindful of mistake fares, as sometimes airlines will realize that they made the mistake and they'll retract those original prices and they won't honor them. So you just want to give it about 24 to 48 hours before you start making other arrangements like booking hotels and things until you're definitely confirmed. Thankfully, I've never had an issue. Whether it's a mistake fare or just a regular sale, you still want to be sure to book it on the spot. Now that does not mean at all that you have to take the trip last minute. I've booked trips sometimes 8-9 months out, so they certainly can be made in advance. It doesn't have to be something that's last minute. The tickets just have to be purchased quickly, regardless of when the actual trip is going to take place. A second method that I use takes a lot more time and patience and a lot less frantic clicking. Two websites I found to be great for searching are actually kayak.com and Google Flights, and that's for a few reasons. Number one, you can try different combinations of airports. So for instance, when I flew to Dementia Village in Holland, I flew into Amsterdam, but out of Brussels because I knew I wanted to explore the dementia-friendly towns in Belgium anyway, and it was cheaper and they're both close by. We're spoiled here in New Jersey in that there are two international airports within 35 miles of each other, and they're actually just a quick shuttle ride from each other as well. Therefore, I'll often look into see if it's cheaper to fly, let's say, out of Newark, but back home into JFK. 4 of us went to Portugal last September, and we did direct round trip for $280, and that's because we left out of Newark, but we came home into JFK. A key point to remember here is that if you notice either a good outbound or a good inbound flight, but you can't seem to find an inexpensive round trip, what you want to do is take note of that more favorable leg and then just search for another airport coming home. Which brings me to number 2. The second reason that I love both of these sites is because they're flexible. If I know that I have a few weekends free 1 month, for example, I can search New York City to Europe on Google Flights and try different combinations of dates and see what the best prices are literally all over the entire continent. If I have a better idea of top picks, I can do a similar search on Kayak, but with more flexible date ranges. You can check flights to up to 4 different cities and put in, for instance, weekends in December. The third reason that I prefer these sites is that they let you book directly with the airline. I prefer it that way because you can be safe and eliminate any kind of middleman or a third party. Sometimes you can actually find coupon codes for certain airlines on websites like retailmenot.com. It's also important to remember that sometimes good deals are only available on either that airline's home country's website or even just on a different country's aside from the US. So for instance, for South Africa this past November, 5 of us went and we bought direct round trip tickets for $500 from JFK, but we had to do it on the New Zealand version of South African Air's website, and we even paid in their currency. Finally, a third method I found to be effective is booking with points. Now, I can only speak for United since the only credit card I have is United Mileage Plus Explorer Visa card, but I feel like there are some general misconceptions about booking with miles, and I just want to address some of them now. The first being that you need an insane amount of miles and that it takes a lot of time and money to earn them to actually be able to fly for free. For international travel, it's 30,000 miles one way, 60,000 round trip. You do not need to spend $60,000 to get up to 60,000 miles. It's August and I've flown to Italy direct round trip twice already this year for free with my miles. I have the Mileage Plus shopping app and am admittedly obsessed with earning miles. I make it a point to not only shop where the miles per dollar ratio is high, but also to buy a virtual gift card through the app and get the 25% bonus miles and have them hit my account instantly. Panera, for instance, is usually at least 4 miles to the dollar, so I love treating friends to Panera. FTD is 20 miles to the dollar, so I send flowers to everybody for basically any occasion. Now, granted, I do spend a good amount on my card since I book everybody's trip and pay for it and then they pay me, but it's still not excessive considering it's really the only thing I spend money on. Another misconception is that you're attached to one airline. United is part of Star Alliance, so those miles are good for any Star Alliance partner. Some familiar partners are TAP Portugal, Swiss, Lufthansa, and SAS, just to name a few. That's it. Those are my secrets. At least for booking flights, which in comparison to the rest of the planning is definitely the easiest part by far.